Hey guys, this is Eliot Marshall, former UFC fighter, and this is the Gospel of Fire, where we're going to go through the fire to learn the best way to live our life.
All right, guys, here we are back with episode 13 of the Gospel of Fire, and I have none other than the greatest of all time, Haja Gracie. How you doing, Haja?
I'm great, Eliot. Great pleasure.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Great pleasure.
Thanks, man. So let's talk about it. I'm pretty sure that it got solidified for you being the best with the last match with Buchecha. And how did you feel going into that match? Because obviously, like, you guys had a match before. He was the young lion, you know, and you, like, hadn't competed for a while. So what was going on with how you were feeling, your training, and all of that?
I think I try to keep almost like a blank mind walking to that fight. You know, it's
right.
I think for me, as a fighter, it was like it's good to have that sort of challenge in your life. You know, and we saw this might, I want to make this into my final fight. You know, we had a fight before a couple of years ago. You know, it didn't go exactly the way I planned it. You know, it was a draw, but I wasn't happy with my performance. And after everything, he came in and he was like winning everything. We never actually fought, in the words together as a black belt, because when I stopped, he was still a brown belt, still upcoming. And I knew I want to fight. I want to finish my career fighting against the best of the best now, especially after last fight. So it was a very, very emotional fight in Rio. My whole family is there, my family, the city that I grew up. But, like always, I feel very confident. I train a lot, I dedicated, I did all I could. And, one more challenge in your life, I think the whole thing evolved around before, it's a joyful feeling, to participate on all that, to have that in your life, that challenge, and the sacrifice and everything. So I was pretty happy.
Nice, yeah, for sure, man. I bet you were. So let's with that match, like in all of your matches, kind of, it's very interesting. You look almost like you're gonna fall asleep sometimes, right? Like you're so calm, and like you have all this pressure on you with your name, How do you get there, Haja?
It's difficult to say because I've never done anything to prepare myself for that. I think that's something that I kind of developed over the years. I think if I look back on my career, my early fights, I was more emotion. There was a lot more emotion involved. I think, as I grew older, more mature, I think I started developing the way to, always, just try to use my energy in the right moment, not to waste in anything, it's like, and emotion-wise, it's kind of, I always try to shut down my emotion prior to fight, almost like try not to feel anything. So at the same time that, you try not to feel the nervousness, all the pressure, the adrenaline, it also affects on your not happiness. You don't celebrate on victory pretty much. It's very connected. It's all the same. If you get very sad when you lose, you're gonna get super happy when you win. Of course, I'm not. Don't take me bad. I'm super happy every time I win. But it's just the showing that emotion. It's almost kind of holding everything inside, and it's almost a sign of weakness to let your opponent know what you're feeling, and you can. The moment they get emotion, the emotion becomes evolved into a fight. You cannot think clear. So when you shut all that down, all you can focus a lot more. So that's always something that I try to do my whole life, and I think in the end, kind of shows that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think that it was probably up for dispute who the best was.
Yeah, I agreed. I know for sure if I lost that fight, I would have been the second best now.
well, yeah, I mean, I like Pushesh.
Which is normal, you know.
Pushesh and I are friends. He's a great guy, and we talk. But I think he has more now, right? Doesn't he have 11 world titles? I think
he does.
He got this year, right? So
and I'm sure he'll have even more. You know, he's not even 30 years old yet. You know, he's on history, which is awesome. No, I'm happy for him.
For sure, without a doubt. But that match definitely did it for you. And it was cool that it was in Rio, I thought. You know what I mean? Like, you're both Brazilian. You're both from Rio. Like, I thought that was very cool.
I don't think it could have been any better anywhere else. It was the perfect place.
Especially, like, I don't know. How do you feel? Like, the Worlds in Rio, to me, were just, like they're cool in America. But I can remember traveling to Rio and doing the Worlds, not as a black belt, but the Worlds in Rio, that was special. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agreed. I think he had his special time, you know. But I think in one way, I was happy when you moved to America. I think about venue, structure. I think the jiu-jitsu got way more professional when you moved to when the Worlds moved to LA. I think in terms of the size, the organization, the setup, everything, it became a lot more professional. The venue in Rio, I don't know if you remember, it was like small, crowded, the crowd right by the ring, all that shouting on your ear. It was awesome, and I was so very happy to have, to participate at that time. But there's a side of me that I was happy that you kind of moved on, you changed, you became better.
Well, but, for sure,
I do understand what you're feeling. You had that, there was a lot more feeling, emotion involved fighting in Tijuca Tennis Club, in Rio. It was a lot more emotional for sure.
I liked being the gringo coming to Brazil, and then just and then just my gringo wife up in the crowds, like I liked that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
There was something to it, there was something to it.
Yeah.
Man, so I think the first time I met you was at Renzo's, and you look, everyone that's better than you have these stories about them, and then like the people that you're like that are coming up under you, they have these stories about you. So you probably don't remember this. And you were getting ready for for ADCC in 05. And Renzo matched us up first round of training, and I had never trained with you yet, and I can remember exactly how this went, Haja. We were training, and I think obviously like we were both just starting to get going, and you turtled for some reason, and I locked up an anaconda, and literally, man, in my head, I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna get him. And right when I had that thought, you slipped out and went to my back, and I was like, fuck. And then you just beat my ass, and you beat my ass pretty good that round, but that wasn't the worst beating. The worst beating came at the end of the training. With I can remember you tapped me 14 times in 10 minutes.
You probably made me angry on that.
Maybe, man. But you tapped me 14 times with the same fucking move. It sucked. And then I went and sat on the wall, and I said, and I sat next to Jamal Patterson, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, man, don't worry. He did that to me yesterday." What was that like preparing for you for ADCC at Renzo's? Like, what does Renzo do? I'm trying to get Renzo on the show, and we're like playing tag with our text. He's hard to get a hold of, but
almost impossible.
Almost impossible. What is that like, man? When you have somebody like Renzo there in your corner?
I think Renzo is a great coach because he motivates you a lot. He kind of puts on your mind, like never give up. That kind of warrior spirit that you have to succeed. You're the best. There's no one better than you, regardless the challenge. You're gonna go through it. I think that's kind of every time he was in my corner, he's always like pushing you, giving that extra burst of energy, believing, shouting, motivates you just to give him more. And he's very, very clever. His view on the outside is like fantastic. His the advice he gives is is always the right one. And it's a great thing to have someone on your corner that can actually help you as much as he does.
Yeah, it's important. I think it's important, right? But you hear a lot of coaches just screaming like, "Do it, pass the guard," and that's not helpful. That's not helpful.
Yeah. Shouting the shouting itself is not. It doesn't. It's not helpful. It needs to be something that actually you're gonna actually to do it specifically.
What was it like for you as a young person, right? Because, I mean, obviously you have probably one of the most famous families, especially the most famous fighting family in the world, and definitely in Brazil at the time. What were those? Did you feel pressure, man? Did you feel like you had to become this? Like how did that play out for you with your childhood and your adolescent years?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I never felt that pressure that I have to become. It's like, I think it was the opposite. The pressure, there's always pressure, of course. You're born, you're Gracie, you're born under pressure, of knowing how to fight. Everyone around you always asking you, oh, do you fight? How it is, special training, there's constant pressure from the outside, most of it, not even from inside the family, to be honest. It's more, my friends, the adults, people, normal people that just come to you and constantly ask if you train, if you fight. So that sort of pressure you feel, since the young age at school. And but I never felt the pressure that I have to be someone, that I have to become a great fighter. That I think that was I think that started. I was, as a child, I was 10 years old, 12. I wasn't really focused in jiu-jitsu, really committed. I always train, I always compete every once in a while. But, there was one point that I was living not so close from any Gracie school. So I was training a bit more judo. But, same thing, like 2 or 3 times a week. Nothing special, I wasn't doing great in judo. I was competing again, every once in a while. Probably losing more than winning. And then I went to spend the holidays with my uncle Eliot in the south. He used to live in the south of Brazil, in Florianopolis, for a few years. And I remember when I was 14, I went there. My cousin Hollis were living with him. And then I got there slightly out of shape. And I wasn't obese, but there was some stage in my life that was a little bit out of shape, not training much. And I went there for holidays, and of course, my uncle trains every day. He's very active. He was always very active. He's slightly older than me. I think he was purple belt back then, but competing, training hard. And suddenly I start getting to their routine. I'm staying at his house. Suddenly I'm training every day with them. And then he's putting in my mind, you gotta be healthy. You gotta eat well. You can't be out of shape like that. You gotta be a black belt. And then our Hall's going to be the heavyweight champion. You're going to be the middleweight champion, because I wasn't that big back then,
Right.
I don't think he thought it was going to be 100 kilos. But with the way he was talking, he thought it was going to be 85, 90 kilos. So he's oh, Hall's the heavyweight, you're the middleweight, you have to train. And then I stayed there for 6 weeks. I go back to Rio, boom, my life changed. Suddenly, next year I'm telling my mom I want to go back to live with my uncle. I want to train. I want to do this. I want to do that. And suddenly I start training regularly. And then when I moved next year, I went to live with him. I lived there with him for almost a year. And suddenly I had very clear in my mind. It's this is it. This is what I want to do. I'm going to be the best fighter in the world. I'm going to train hard every day. And no one ever took me seriously in the when I was 14, 15, I was still a slightly chubby kid. I was getting a little bit better, but I was far from being the best of my age or my belt,
Sure.
And then, it took a few years for people to actually, holy shit, he's actually getting really good. I think when I was 18, I would say 18 to 19, then they were like, oh, he actually is really good, That's when I noticed people seeing more.
What do you think, like, man, I think that's interesting what you said about, you were training, like, you're the best in the world ever now, and you weren't really that serious when you were, 7, 8, 9. I think this is something that a lot of instructors sometimes struggle with. I know, like, for me as a parent, like, my kids, like, we have rules. They have to do jiu-jitsu. Like, there's no way they're not doing it. But I'm not like, okay, we're going every day. You're going to be the best. And you see that a lot these days, right? Like, you see that a lot with the parents just putting so much pressure on their kids to be great. Like, where do you think that came from? Why do you think that is? And how do you feel about that?
I think it's very difficult to deal with that. Like, I have a son. I have a daughter. My daughter is 5, but my son is like 9. And,
Okay.
he's a very big boy. He's bigger than everybody at his school.
Yeah, mine's
So,
8 and the same thing.
yeah, and, like, I teach a lot of kids. I have a lot of kids in my school. And I think, when the parents, they kind of force the kids to do something that they wish they've done when they were young. I think that's the worst thing that you could do to your kid. Because in the end of the day, it's not your life. That's how I try to when I look at my son. That's what I try to do with him. It's not my life; it's his life. I cannot choose for him.
Right.
And if I try to force him to do something that I want, and in case he chooses to do that, it's not going to be his choice. He's never going to be great. And he can actually play opposite. He can be a frustrated person. He can be unhappy. In the future, that can be totally against it. He can actually be against me. Angry with me for the fact that I forced him to do something that he never wanted. So I see with my with Tristan, it's like now I try to let him become interested in jiu-jitsu. There's ways that you can try to make him train without telling him go train.
Right.
I think
right, yeah.
up to now I never forced him to train. He's not as his jiu-jitsu is not strong, but he's 9. I have a theory that I think every kid, if they are great when they are kid, they'll never be great when they are adults, because it's something that I think we as a person, if you dedicated your life, your childhood for so many years into something, when you become an adult, it's natural that you're going to try, you're going to look for something else, because you already done it for like 10 years, or more. Suddenly, like, you're 22, you've been training since you're like 8. I mean, there's 14 years that you constantly training. Then you're really good as a child. I mean, and then you're already good. So now you're going to try to look into different things to be good at it, So it's like I've never seen, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember seeing any kid that they were great till they were like 15, 16, like really good, amazing, winning everything, and they became the same thing that there was a child as an adult. They were like
The only
super
person
good,
I can, the only person in the whole world, even outside of, I can only think of like Tiger Woods, and that's it.
Yeah, Serena Williams. I was watching a documentary of her.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's a different sport, I think. Like when you play tennis or when you play golf, and then you see like Tiger Woods. Suddenly he's not winning everything. After he becomes an adult, but there's a lot of money involved. It's easier for you just to play golf. Maybe tennis is not that easy. It's a lot more physical. But I mean, golf, you love playing. You make millions playing. Even you winning or losing, you will play. But fighting, fighting is a lot more physical. It's like the adrenaline or getting to the ring and fighting someone. I think is way harder to do than to do golf. And you don't make millions fighting jiu-jitsu.
No,
and it's an amateur. You win a medal,
yeah,
which is awesome.
Right.
I don't regret any time I fought jiu-jitsu. It's an amateur sport, but I'm saying it's different. Suddenly, if fighting the world would pay me, $5 million every time, I would be competing now. Winning or I would probably be still fighting every year, even if winning or not winning.
Sure.
If every
sure.
time I fight, I make $5 million, I mean, that's a lot of money for you not to say no. That's that's why I think that's how they play. Look at tennis, look at Federer. Roger Federer. He still play even though that he's not as good as he was. He's still amazing, but he's not as good as he was a few years ago.
Yeah, he's good enough to make a couple $1 million a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every time he plays, sponsorship and prize money. It's a lot of money involved. That's why they do it. But in fighting, you don't have that, so people they stop earlier.
You can't.
And it's a lot more sacrifice, like fighting.
The mind. I think people miss what happens with your mind with fighting. It's such it's such an unnatural thing, right? Like that fight or flight response can only kick off so many times.
Yeah. And parents, they have to be very careful, not to frustrate the kids, and you cannot project on your kid something that you wish you were, or you wish you've done it. It's not your life; it's their life. They have to choose. That's very important for the parents to understand. You cannot choose for them. Like I cannot choose for my son for him to be a fighter. I think the only thing that I would be sad if he disliked jiu-jitsu. I don't care if he's a fighter, if he's not a fighter. That's his life. I had my life, but jiu-jitsu is such an important part of my life. My family, the history. I think I would be a bit disappointed in a way that if he denies jiu-jitsu in his life.
You would feel like that was your failure rather than his failure.
Yeah. I would say, it was my failure. Because I would be a lot happier if he just trained as a hobby, if he's a black belt, he can have another job, but, if he likes to train jiu-jitsu, because, there's so many beneficials of training, physical, mentally. It's such a great thing on your life as a health, benefits of health, mind. So if he doesn't like that, I'll probably feel as a failure. But whatever he wants to do in his life, his choice cannot be mine.
For sure, and that's so I have schools with them all, as most people know, and that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with. I'm just like, guys, we're not trying to make champions, we're trying to make good people today, and if they become champions, then that will be on them. That won't be on us.
Yeah, exactly.
So many instructors want to say they trained a champion, and the best way to do that is to get as many people to walk in your door as possible. If you're pulling from the greatest pool of people, that's your greatest likelihood of having a champion. And it's just what jiu-jitsu does for the soul and the person is amazing. I totally
agree.
So obviously, look, I don't know if you listen to my podcast. Probably not. It's probably not too big in England. But it's called The Gospel of Fire because I believe that the lessons that jiu-jitsu teaches us, they prepare us for hell in our life, not hell after we die. What have been some of your struggles, Hajar? Where have you fallen short and then had to reassess and learn and use look, all of your medals are great. I say this all the time in my class. Everyone's medals are great if you have them, but they mean nothing if you can't use them when your life gets difficult. So when has that happened for you, and how did you use it to overcome?
Man, I think it happens to me many times. You see, the other day I was reading a quote of Michael Jordan. It's it doesn't matter how many times you fail. I failed dozens of times. The reason that I succeed is because I kept trying. I never gave up. You cannot give up on your first failure. Everything you try to achieve is super hard. People they don't realize how hard it is for you to achieve something great. It's super hard. I lost many times. It took me years of training hard every day to become good at jiu-jitsu. When I told you I was 14 when I decided to be the best fighter in the world. I actually did decide, I told myself, I would train hard to be the best fighter in the world. But I was a chubby, shitty old boy, 14. I was getting smashed every single day in the academy. And I got smashed for the next 5 years of my life. Five, it took me only when I was 19 years old that I was like good at jiu-jitsu. My uncle Carlos, he held me in the blue belt, and it was a blue belt for 3 years. So I got it when I was 16, and then I was 19. I got my purple belt. But I mean, when I got my blue belt, I mean, I was from far the average. I was an average blue belt. And I came, from a Gracie, from the school, one of the biggest school of jiu-jitsu, Gracie Barra. When I used to walk into the mat, there was like 30 black belts. 15 of them were champions. It was like, and browns and purples and blues and tough white belts. Man, while you train in the academy, you can beat somebody up, but then there's like 100 people who's gonna kill you in the mat. It took me years of training and fighting tournaments and losing. Only when I can say that only like after between 18 and 19 years old, that then I start winning a lot more than losing. Right. Before that, it was a lot losing. And when I got my black belt, first world champion for 2003, I got silver. I didn't win. I lost in the final against Pejipano in the Open. I did not fight my weight division. I just fought the Open. I lost in the final. Next year, I fought 2004. I fought Jacaré. I lost. I won that fight, but I got silver.
Right.
With the arm lock, when I broke his arm.
Yep.
I won my weight division, but I got silver in the Open. Regardless, what happened in the fight, the referee decision or not. But I got silver. I didn't get gold. Next year, same thing happened. Same thing against Jacaré. I won my weight division. I fought him. I mean, I won that fight again. I got silver. He tried takedown in the last 15 seconds.
He ran. I was there for both of them. Yeah, he just ran and ran. Yeah. And I like Jacaré.
No, he's a great guy. He's a great competitor. I have nothing against him. Nothing. Only respect. But I did not lose that fight. I won, but again, anyway, that is not the point.
You have a silver medal. Yeah, you have a silver medal. Yeah.
Next year, I fought Shande. I lost. I got 4 silver medals in the Open division before I got my first gold.
Right.
I was winning my weight division every year. I never lost my weight division, but the Open, I got 4. Then I won gold. The next year I got silver. So I have 5 silver medals in the absolute division. And then after that, I won the next 2 times. And then I never fought again. So, if I didn't know how to deal with failure, that could have killed my career. That it's like, if I didn't know how to deal with that would affect me big time. But it's like, it's something that you cannot worry about. That never worries me. The moment that the referee didn't raise my arm, I got the silver medal. I got back home the same day. I'm like, I just gotta train harder.
Right.
It does not matter. If he won, if I won. In my mind, I was like, man, this is too close. Every year that I got that silver medal, in my mind, I was angry. Right. I'm like, I have to submit them all. So I have to become better than everybody else. So there's no doubt who's going to win,
For sure. Man, I see you on a personal level, I guess. I follow you on Instagram, and I see you post some of Osho's quotes. Did you watch that documentary, Wild Wild Country?
I did. I actually posted before I watched the documentary.
Right. You're the one who got me to watch that documentary because I read the quote and I liked it, I don't know, a year ago, And then I looked it up and I was like, man, I got to watch this documentary. That documentary was wild, right? Holy shit.
Yeah. Same thing to me. I put some of those quotes on my Instagram, and then I was talking to my cousin Igor. He was the one who told me about it. He saw the quotes. He said, oh, have you watched the Wild Wild Way? And I was like, no, it's like, you have to watch it. It's crazy. And then when I watched it, I was like, wow. It is actually super crazy. Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
What is your philosophy on life a little bit? Because obviously, I'm not a religious person, but I follow some spirituality, I have a guiding light, How do you feel? about things like things like that? Like, are you more like that? Do you follow a religion, or do you follow more like a spirituality?
I more spirituality. I think I don't honestly. I don't believe in religion. I don't think that's like it helps people. Like I respect people who are religious.
Right.
I believe in God, maybe not the form of God that people believe. Like I believe a lot in energy. Like if you're a good person, you attract good things to you. It's like I believe in doing good, and you're gonna receive good. It's like you don't need someone telling you what's right or wrong. Man, honestly, everybody knows what's right or wrong. You're not gonna kick somebody in the floor and saying, "Oh, that's right." I mean, that's wrong. You're gonna kill someone, you're gonna say that's right. I mean, you don't need religion to tell you that. If you're gonna steal something, do you need somebody to tell you that's wrong? I mean, deep inside, everybody knows what's right or wrong. You just gotta decide to be a good person and do good for yourself and for others. And I think the more you do, the more you attract to yourself. So, I mean, my philosophy is just, I try to be the best person I can. Involve myself, physically and spiritually. It's and the more good you do, the more good you attract to yourself. And that's my philosophy,
For sure, man. I feel like the mats that we teach on and that we walk onto every day have so much spirituality and so many principles of life. Forget about the arm bars and the chokes and the guard passes. Like, at the end of the day, those things don't really matter, right? Like, but the lessons that those mats give to a person are the best lessons in life.
Yeah, I think how you face a challenge tells a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
So it's that's the most important thing. It's like jiu-jitsu, fighting, training, not just fight. Training in general. It puts you in situations tough situations in the academy. when you fight in a bad spot or you in a good spot that you can either try to rough up try to be rough against your opponent or try to hurt him or not. That's define who you are. That's what jiu-jitsu tells you right into your face every time you train. What kind of person you are. You cannot hide it.
Yeah.
It's easy to see someone's personality, how good he is. In his first day in the academy, how you react fighting someone, how you react under pressure, how you react on an advantage position against someone who's in a bad spot, and how you do that defines who you are a lot.
And then watching how that can change over time with somebody, like you can take those weak and soft people and you can mold them into something tough,
Yeah.
When they never thought they could be tough in their life ever.
Exactly. You make them believe themselves. When you're having to fight against someone twice your size, then he puts you under pressure, and then you overcome that. Suddenly in his back, choking him out. I think you can leave that match. I think you can conquer the world.
Yeah,
you just beat a guy 3 times your weight, 3 times your size, and you pure by your own merit. I think that's one of the greatest things in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
you can leave that saying that I've done it.
I always tell my kid, every day before he goes to school, I tell him, my older one, my younger one doesn't care yet. I say, hey, who's the toughest? And he says, I am. And I say, why? And he goes, because I can get beat up. And I think that's what jiu-jitsu teaches us. It teaches us how to get beat up because, like you said, you got beat up for 5 years every day, really bad. And once you can take it, then you can really give it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Haja, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I know we're not like great friends, and you taking the time out to come on and talk to me, and I know there's a huge time difference, and man, that means a lot to me. So thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, you're a great friend. Friendship you make in the mats, they never go away. Doesn't matter how long you're not seeing each other,
For sure, man.
We share blood in the mat. No, you're my brother.
I feel the same, man. Thank you very much, Haja. I appreciate it.
Awesome, Eliot. Pleasure being here, bro. Anytime.
All right, sounds good.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of The Gospel of Fire. Hit me up on my social media at FireMarshal205 on both Twitter and Instagram. Give me a follow at my fan page on Facebook, Eliot the Fire Marshal. Give a subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher, wherever you're listening. Throw a review up there. We'd greatly appreciate it. We'll see you on the next episode.